Hello and welcome to another episode of the Pixel Related Podcast. This is episode 32. And Adam,
Yeah.
we just, like 12 hours ago, 16 hours ago, we just got to hear all of the wonderful Nintendo Switch news. Nintendo blew the socks off of everyone.
Wonderful?
Way above and beyond what anyone
Blew the
expected.
socks off. I mean, it did. I mean, it did blow. I will agree with you on that.
So, I'm Kyle, by the way. That's Adam. We're gonna just do a quick show here. We want to talk about the Nintendo stuff while it's still new, while it's still fresh. We both watched their someone called disastrous presentation late last night.
Trash fire was a term that was used in regards to this.
Yeah, I could see that. I didn't get a chance to watch it live. I did watch it about an hour or two later. Luckily, I'm on the West Coast, so it wasn't ridiculously late like it was for you.
Yeah, it was really bad. And then, like, if you were trying to stay up at all to see, like, if any of this shit was going up, ooh boy, it was bad.
So we'll just dive in right into the main thing. Launch date March 3rd. That's about what they expected. That's maybe earlier. That's like less than 2 months away. That's kind of crazy.
That's way earlier. I mean, I was expecting like mid to late. So I mean, that is a very early release date on it.
Yeah, and then and that is a worldwide release date. So that's U.S. That's most Europe. That's Japan. Other territories was what they added on to the end of there. So I don't know exactly what that means, but for the purposes of us, that's pretty much everywhere. Mm-hmm. The price point's $300 or $299.99. That's right in line with everything that had been rumored. They didn't announce any. There was rumors of like two SKUs, like a $249.99 and a $299.99. Just the one, just kind of the base, the Switch. I almost called it the Wii U. Just the base Switch. That's what it is.
Well, depending on how things go.
What's that?
It's depending on how things go. I mean, maybe it's like the Wii U.
Well, okay, that's obviously yet to be seen.
Yeah. I mean, it does technically have two configurations. You have one that's gray and then one that's red and blue.
Right, which why anyone would want the gray one is beyond me.
I got the gray one. I don't really like the multicolor one it's okay, but yeah, I don't really care about it's definitely a bit more visually popping seeing it in some of the stuff they've done today, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty straightforward. It's going to come with the thing. That's the dock for it, the actual device itself. 2 Joy-Cons, which is I don't know how I feel about that
joystick controller.
I know. I just don't like that name. Is pretty bad. Those things look tiny.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm hoping that like the people that was like in those demos where they were showing off the bits like were large-handed people, because those little controllers look like,
yeah, I think like Polygon has been covering a lot of this stuff, and it looks like from what I've seen, the Joy-Con is a bit bigger than the sort of closed clamshell version of the 3DS XL. So like that sort of depth with it. That's tiny, and they want you to use that tiny ass. They want you to use that tiny thing as a controller for multiplayer.
Not only that, but the sticks on them, like the one, like the right stick, like the stick is like a good bit in from the end of the controller. So it's not like they're utilizing the full length of the controller. It's like the stick and the buttons are like right next to each other on that side. Like they are less. Like seemed like they were less symmetrical than I thought. Maybe that was just maybe it's just how they looked on the stream. But
they're not. Yeah, they're not. Like you've got one that's right near the top. So like the left hand one is right at the top, similar to like what the Wii U has, and then the one on the right like looks like it's just straight in the goddamn middle of the thing.
Right?
Which why would you do that? No,
Well, because
no.
I guess the whole point is that's not you're not using those very much, right? Like this is like, oh, we got some people over. I'm going to give someone a Wiimote where all you're doing is you're holding it and maybe hitting the trigger or hitting
Yeah.
a like not doing anything crazy intensive as I guess would be the idea with that. But that was a little weird to me. Like we mentioned, they're going to come in two colors. They're going to come in black. They're going to come, and then there's a blue and a red. You can also buy sets of Joy Cons in various colors for it's $50 each, or a pack for $80.
$80. It's a discount. It's a deal.
Dude.
Yeah, when I kind of realized that pricing, so we did end up eventually pre-ordering one of these things, and we got the gray one. And in retrospect, it's like, well, probably should have just gotten the multicolor one, if only because if I want the different colors, then that's gonna cost me another goddamn $80.
Well, yeah, or to the point where if, like, I'm looking at it and I haven't pre-ordered it, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to, but like,
You might not be able to at this point.
That's ridiculous. That's
Places have been like Amazon sold out today.
yeah, but all those
Best
places
Buy
have come back like an hour later and said, "Oh yeah, now we have more available." Like, and that's been continually.
But
happening.
they've been consistently like when they've come back and been like they're available again. It's been consistently like, okay, now we're out. Now we're back in. Now we're out. So like, who the fuck knows?
Well, anyways,
Yeah,
I don't know.
know.
Like at this point, I mean, we'll get to like the launch lineup and stuff like that, but I don't know if I need to have one at launch.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I mean, I'm
And then
yeah.
and then they have a Pro controller. Obviously, doesn't come with the Pro controller. The Pro controller is 70, which
Fuck
is
that.
which is high.
Fuck, that's so hard.
Which is high for a regular controller. Yeah.
For a normal console, yeah, like for the Xbox, I mean, like you're generally getting like deals of those being like what 50, sometimes 40,
Yeah,
and to go right out of the bat at
I
70.
bought an Xbox One controller, the new version with Bluetooth on them for $40 over the holidays.
Yeah,
But yeah, so okay, so that's getting a little ridiculous. They're also selling you if you want to have additional docks, because ideally you could have a dock hook up to multiple TVs. Or docks.
oh yeah,
up to multiple TVs, so
it sounds like a great idea, like a really simple. You figure cheap solution because you're just docking the thing, right? You just got to plug it in. So I mean, like that's what.
So that's
like
90. That's $90.
Oh. Oh.
So there's the accessory stuff is getting a little bad. That's it's I don't know how to even take that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I mean, what you're gonna get in the package, because I mean the accessory stuff has always been bad. Like especially for Nintendo stuff, like when it's like you buy a Wii and it comes with a single Wiimote, and then it's like, oh yeah, but like we want to play Wii Sports with a group of people, so now we have to drop another, what were those, $50 each, $40 each, and then you had to also buy nunchucks. Like this is not the first time Nintendo's been really bad.
That's true.
And
even like
that.
currently it's bad because I don't think you can get a new 3DS with a charging cable at this point. Like I think you have to buy that separately.
Oh yeah,
So-
I felt really bad because I should have warned my sister about that. She bought two 3DSs for her two older kids, and then didn't have charging cables. And I was like, oh shoot! Like I knew you were doing that. I should have thought to tell you that yeah, they don't come with charging cables. I got them for Christmas, so it's like Christmas, and they open them up and they're like, oh, we can't use these because we can't, or like they used them for whatever battery was on them, and then they had to like wait until the next day to go to a store to buy the charger. Oh man. So, okay. They're highlighting three main modes for the Switch. You got TV mode. You plug it you put it in the dock, shoots out HDMI to your TV. Everything's great. They didn't really talk at all about if there is any type of processing power in the dock, if it's making it look better, if it's making it.
It
I
it
mean,
does sound like when they've talked about stuff after the fact, it sounds like they've said like there is extra processing power with it because
yeah,
I think like
you would assume it
Mario
has to
Kart.
be.
Yeah, like I think Mario Kart 8, when you have it in the dock, plays at like 1080p, 60 frames a second. It sounds like that's not going to be the case because I think it's only a 720p screen as
Right.
well.
Yeah. Exactly. Just
So
on the actual thing. Yeah.
yeah, so you would expect that, like, hey, maybe they have to, maybe because they have to put out less resolution, that hopefully it'll still run decently.
Yeah, and
In
then
that mode.
when you're playing it on when you're playing it that way, there is a what do they call it? The Joy-Con grip that you connect the Joy-Cons to make it feel closer to a real controller.
Yeah,
Hopefully that feels okay. Like the early things that I've heard of people on Twitter saying that feels pretty fine. Um,
yeah, I do want to actually get that thing in my hands because it did look tiny. Like it looked like it was a couple fingers wide in the middle, and then the Joy Cons are not much bigger than that. So
yeah,
I hope it's not.
but it does add like actual like handholds for your palms to go on,
Mhm.
more shaped like a real controller. Also, the Switch does come with that as well as the two Joy Cons, as well as the two Joy-Con straps, which are things that actually click onto the sides of Joy Cons to use them in like Wiimote mode. Which I thought it was a
Mhm.
little weird that it's not just a thing that straps onto your that just like hooks in somewhere. It's just literally something you click on.
Mhm.
Nintendo's really big on that whole clicking noise, that the switching noise that they have, snapping their fingers.
Yeah.
They think that's a really they think that's really cool. Um, that's
Well, you
keeping
know what else is really cool
what's
in
that?
press conferences? Waiting and showing off some, let's say, really bad games at the start of their show.
So okay, I know what you're saying. They led off with 1-2 Switch and Arms. Those are like the two games that are aimed at like the Wii crowd, like the people that played like Wii Sports and stuff like that, like that are like that's like the mini game collection type things. They got way more excited about Arms than I can understand because I thought that looked awesome.
I I don't get I mean I don't really get either of those games, to be honest, but like they spent a chunk of time talking about Arms.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
1-2 Switch looked like it could be fun in a Wii Sports type of way. Um,
Hmm.
and especially when they talk about like you're having your little Joy Cons with the wristlet and you are kind of following along what it's showing on the TV or showing on the Switch, not necessarily staring at it, but like interacting with each other. Like that I could see that having some potential. Obviously, need know a lot more about what's in there. There also that one looks like from when I was looking at it, looks like that has a price point of $50 instead of 60. But that's
Hmm.
still the type of thing that usually would be expected to be packed in. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, there's no pack in. Hmm, there's no pack in.
but they were showing like
And
doing like a quick draw like gunslinger thing. There was like sword fighting. That looked like there was like a ping pong something or other. Like there's stuff that could potentially be interesting and could potentially be cool, but I don't know why that's significantly different than anything you could do on the Wii right now. Um, and like the
I
emphasis that they're showing as like these Joy Cons as basically Wiimotes, except ones that you have to buy because Wiimotes don't work with this anymore. Um,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
that's just weird. Yeah, and then Arms, which is their fighting game with people with springy arms, like but they're treated it like it was Soul Calibur or Street Fighter or something like that. Like that just looked awful, like just absolutely awful.
Yeah, I don't get what, like, they have telephone cord arms, and it's kind of like my girlfriend said like it's kind of like Punch Out, and I'm like it's kind of like Punch Out, but it seems like there's a lot less going on because they kind of only really showed you doing like hooks and straight jabs, and you can jump. And like it's in a 3D space, so you have that bit of movement with it.
Yeah.
But I don't
There,
know, like man, it's I got nothing out of that, and they spent like I said, like they spent a long time showing it.
well, so think about this. I mean, so give Nintendo like just give them like a slight benefit of the doubt. Like this is a new IP from Nintendo. Like the last one of these was
Hmm.
Splatoon, right? That
Hmm.
was their big new IP with completely new characters and stuff like that. So maybe they're onto something. Maybe it doesn't translate well in video. They're also this game. It doesn't have to be played with Joy Cons. You can just play this with a controller if you want to, and play it like a normal ass game. So that could be something that is actually maybe in that context, maybe it works great. That's I mean that one, but yeah, like you said, like in the actual press conference that they showed you, it looked just awful. Like and then
Hmm.
that's not even a launch game. That is a I want to say that's later in March or a
Hmm.
Q1 game or whatever they call
It's
it.
launch window. It's a launch
Well,
window game.
everything that they showed is launch window. I mean, depending on how far off they want to send their launch window.
Yeah.
But the real problem with this game, with the Switch, is that it's launching with 5 titles. Only 5 titles. One of
Only five.
those.
'Cause I have a list here of games that are apparently for the Switch.
So
I think we're looking.
the last image that I saw said that like actual like launch day titles, not launch window, was 1-2 Switch, was
Mm-hmm.
Legend of Zelda. There was a Just Dance game in there.
Mm-hmm.
There was something called oh shoot, it was
Has
like
been Heroes.
Has Been Heroes. Which
I'm seeing.
what is Has Been Heroes? That's not the No More Heroes thing that they were teasing, right? Like
No, I think it's
that's just
something
an
they
odd coincidence.
I think it's something they showed off at the Treehouse event. Like most of this stuff, and that's kind of goes to my problem with this press event, is that most of this stuff was stuff they showed off at the Treehouse event, and what they kind of showed at the actual presser was not huge. So the list that I'm looking at is 1-2 Switch, Breath of the Wild, Just Dance, Has Been Heroes, a game called Snipper Clips, Super Bomberman R, which we will have some things to talk about with that game.
Oh yeah, so that was the other one. It was super. So that's that the 4 that I mentioned and Super Bomberman are the only ones that are supposed to come out on March 3rd that have been announced right now.
Okay, so the other ones that I'm seeing here are
Sorry, Has Been Heroes isn't even supposed to be a launch game. That's supposed to be later in March.
okay, because I'm also seeing Disgaea 5 Complete, Puyo Puyo Tetris, which I know is coming out in April on the PS4, so I don't know if that's a launch game. There's the Rayman Legends port, the port of Steep, Skylanders, Imaginators, and I Am Setsunya. Still
Yeah,
not much.
yeah. So
And
that's the thing. It's like so it's launch day. It's Skylanders 1-2 Switch, Zelda, Bomberman, and Just Dance. Those are the only games that are right now confirmed for launch day.
okay,
So, and then there are a couple others like Snipper Clips, Has Been Heroes, Fast RMX that are supposed to come in March. The rest are all maybe will be March, but they're more liquid than that. They're saying like April or spring. Although they say Mario Kart is April 28th.
yes, Mario Kart is not a launch game. Which what?
But yeah. So, but right now, like if you walk into your Target or your Best Buy or GameStop on March 3rd, in like unless the other ones that they're hiding from us, those are the only ones. Those 5 games, which means you're
Yeah.
walking out with Breath of the Wild, and that's probably it.
Yep.
Maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that Bomberman. I don't like. You said you
So
have some, what's going on
let's
with
talk
Bomberman?
let's talk about the Bomberman thing. Konami, being the wonderful sports that they are, they brought Bomberman back, you guys. It's a full priced $60 retail release.
Right, like you would
Um,
expect with Bomberman. Yep.
It is a game that has an angle. So you know how Bomberman is like a game that you have to kind of like look straight the fuck down to be able to understand what's going on. No, we're gonna take that shit at an angle, so you can't really see what's going on in a lot of cases. And because it's Konami, fuck it, throw in some microtransactions. There are fucking microtransactions in a
Yeah.
goddamn Bomberman game.
Wait, in a goddamn full-priced Bomberman
Yes,
game.
yes. How?
Yeah. Like that launch lineup is painful.
It's a
It's
mess, and
so painful.
it does feel like a lot of this is. So here's the thing about showing your console off 2 months before the fucker launches. You don't have a really good chance to push out a ton of stuff at launch.
Yeah.
You just don't. And I'm sure that eventually there will be good games. There were some other games they showed off, which we will talk about. But right the fuck now, like at launch, so like I pre-ordered one because I know eventually I will want to have one. And I also I had a chance to get that really nice collector's edition of Breath of the Wild, and you know,
Like the super fancy one or the middle one?
yeah, the super fancy one.
Okay.
Yeah. So like had the chance to get that. So we did that pre-order. And I know at some point I would want to have this, even beyond that. Last night though, there was a serious talk of like, well, theoretically we can just play Zelda on the Wii U. Like we still
Yep.
have a Wii U.
Yep.
So what is the impetus for the, and granted there are like 17 of us who still have Wii U's at this point. I don't get this launch lineup. I don't. And I know that a lot of people got more excited when they were showing this other stuff off, but all of the stuff that they showed, aside from Breath of the Wild, feels like it's a ways off.
Yeah.
So
Like I was shocked that Splatoon 2 wasn't coming out. Like I thought that one would be a given.
I thought the Mario one was for sure gonna be was for sure gonna come out.
Yeah, see,
at
I mean,
launch.
I didn't think that we were lucky enough to have a Zelda game and a Mario game at the same time. Especially not the Mario game that people, well, this might not necessarily be the Mario game that people have been asking for, but it is at least a 3D Mario game.
It's not the Mario game that we want. It's the Mario game we deserve.
So okay, so let's dive into that because Mario was the next after the two motion games. Mario was the next thing that they showed off, and Mario is in like New York. I mean, I know it's not New York. It's New Dank City.
New Donk City.
New Donk City.
It's in New Donk City. So my initial reaction with that was, oh my God, he finally made it to Brooklyn. And then my second thought was, oh my God, those characters look a lot like they're from Sonic 06. Oh fuck, this is really worrying. My
first thought was like, hey, he's in a real. Why do the other people not look like Mario?
Why don't they look like him at all? I don't know.
I thought the whole thing was that Mario fell down a pipe into the Mushroom Kingdom. So shouldn't these people look just like I don't
like
know what's
him?
going on.
I don't know. And then like his hat has eyeballs, and
Yes,
like that.
His hat has eyeballs. What, like
why?
At first, he was just doing his like little boomerang thing with the hat, and I was like, "That's cool. Like, I could get down with that. That looks like it could." I bet Nintendo would use that in interesting ways, and I bet they will. But the hat is a character in the game. But
he's always funny. It's a funnier character than we've ever had.
But he's always had the hat. So has the hat just does it get brought to life? Is it a different hat? What I need to know about the hat.
Bowser also on Broadway. I thought that was pretty great, actually. Like the big Broadway billboard for the marriage of Bowser and Peach. Like that stuff looks really cool.
Oh, let's be honest. I think this whole game looks awesome. I think
it's gonna be good. Yeah,
it's different worlds that they showed off. There was like a sweets or like a food world. There was like a haunted mansion type level. There was like one that looked like ancient Eden. Like that stuff is looking cool. And the idea of like Mario's a time traveler or a world, like basically Mario's Doctor Who in this game is what it seems like to me. And he's going. It seems
like this thing ends with Mario at the Dark Tower. You know, like. He goes up and then he has to restart the Mario journey all over again.
Yeah.
Only this time you get 19 lives.
So yeah, so I think that
Yeah.
game looks really cool. There's definitely some weird stuff in there, but again, we're talking about Mario, and I have a tendency to just believe that Nintendo's not going to seriously mess up a Mario game. Um,
Yeah. I just the art thing was really jarring to
it's
me. Like
super jarring.
it's super the thing that's been getting passed around like is obviously the Homer Simpson Treehouse of Horror clip when he comes
Oh
to the
sure,
real
when he's
world.
in real world,
And
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That stuff doesn't look great, but I think like the idea of like Mario exploring this like city, like this actual large scale city, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And also a little bit grim that like at one point in that trailer they just fucking throw Mario off a building. Mario jumps to his death, I assume.
That's Mario.
Yeah.
There's no fall damage for Mario, is there? No, you're right. No, there is actually
Yeah,
fall
no,
damage.
there is. It's a 3D Mario.
Yeah, 3D Mario, there's fall damage. Shit.
um,
Well, okay,
so
but
one other
then,
thing we passed over, and I
well,
want to talk about it briefly.
okay.
Uh, Online
Oh yeah, no,
for the Switch.
I love. They kind of just like set it down real lightly, and then just kind of just moved on to something else real quick. It's like, hey,
Yeah,
we're gonna have online paid starting in fall, so we're gonna talk about the next games. And it's like, wait, what did you guys just say about the
yeah,
paid
and
online?
and the details have come out, and that thing's fucking laughable. I will not pay a penny for this unless they actually fix it. So they said, you get your thing that should just be default in all these consoles, which is like online play, voice chat. They're removing the Miiverse, which really sucks. 'Cause I like the Miiverse. It's actually one of those things that I think is kind of quirky and fun about the Wii U. But and instead, you get a free game every month.
Yeah.
Now, Kyle, I know you're thinking like, man, Nintendo has this huge backlog of games,
Nope.
huge amount of them. They could just give me all of these games. So here's what you get. Here's what you get for your subscription. You get an SNES or an NES game for a month, and then you have to pay for it. How?
What?
Yeah. So Chris Kohler like was the first to kind of break this of like talking with NOA. You are getting a SNES or an NES games that you can get for free online if you know where you're looking, and you get it for a month, and then afterwards you have to pay.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty shit. Like I couldn't like because when I was talking about it last night, I was like, man, they're gonna charge me for online. They better be giving me a free game because there's not any way that I'm gonna pay for the online experience that I've had with Nintendo thus far. So you better be
No,
giving me something. You know?
I've never played my Wii U online ever. Like,
And
if anything, that just means I won't buy Splatoon because I
yes,
probably would have bought the next Splatoon.
and that's where it comes to piss me off. Is like Splatoon, you're now going to charge me a monthly fee to play that game online. When Splatoon and Mario Kart were kind of two that actually sort of worked with their online stuff. Mario Kart to lesser extent, but man, that really sucks. That really sucks for both of those games that you have to pay. Now that's starting in fall. At
Yeah.
launch, from like launch to fall, it's going to be free online. So hopefully you get a better experience with it, and you get to say like, "Hey, it's actually running okay. It's running well." But yeah, I see why they dropped that thing like a hot rock, and we're just like, we're not going to talk about this because it does seem like it's messy.
Man, that's wow. I mean,
Hmm.
it was a bad idea to begin with, and I probably wasn't going to pay for it. The fact you don't even get to keep the game.
Hmm.
Wow. Oh, so I would do say we did actually skip over Splatoon. They didn't really
Yeah. Let's
announce
talk about
much for
Splatoon.
Splatoon. As someone who's never played Splatoon, like the new weapons and stuff like that they're showing off doesn't really mean a lot to me. Like it looks cool. I've always wanted to try out Splatoon. I figured that the Switch version of Splatoon would be the one that I would check out. Per our previous conversation, that's probably not going to happen now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's Splatoon 2. I mean, like they're adding stuff to it for sure. Like they showed off. It was again, it was like this weird little sizzle reel, which is what a lot of the trailers were. It was like sizzle reel stuff, and they're obviously putting some amount of work into it. There was a really incredibly awkward, and it was the start of the really awkward stuff with the translation. I think the translator lost his script because like these guys get given a script, and they
yeah.
have to follow that script along. The translator was very clearly not following a script. He was translating as they were talking. But the problem is that they're not in the same room as the person. So normally, if somebody's translating, the person who is being translated will stop to let the translator catch up. Here that didn't happen, so you had a lot of points in this from like this point on where it was like the translator just kind of was like, and I'm very excited for the game, and I think it will be very very fun, and I think I felt bad. I felt bad for this person who was translating it by the end.
Well, dude, I mean, all the translation was pretty bad. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I guess not all of it, but most of it, it seemed like people who didn't even know what they were doing there or what they were talking about.
It was the person who was having the issues. It seemed like was the same person because Bill Trinan did do some of the translation, and like obviously Bill Trinan knows his Japanese. I mean, if you don't know, like Bill Trinan, who is Shigeru Miyamoto, is basically Shigeru Miyamoto's personal translator. Like he was offered a job by the CIA because he was really good at translating. He's like, nope, gonna work for Nintendo. Fuck you. So, like, he was doing fine. It was just, it seemed like it was this one guy who was really having some issues. Felt really bad for him. Felt really bad for the guy.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's so. I mean, that's just kind of is the whole show as a whole. The translation got real weird and real like off sometimes, and the people that were doing it for the most part had very little inflection in their voice. Well, the people like the guys on stage like doing these crazy poses and doing all this stuff, and the person's like, "Yes, this is my game."
And I can't wait to show you Splatoon 2.
Yeah.
I've been waiting to do this for a while. Splatoon 2. Splatoon 2.
So yeah, I mean, so what other? I mean, is there other stuff? I mean, other games that they talked about. There's a Xenoblade 2 coming out. What was the last one called? That wasn't called 2 then. What was it called?
Xenoblade Chronicles.
I was trying to rack my brain last night. I couldn't think of it. I don't know.
Xenoblade Chronicles X.
It was just X. Okay, so this is
Yeah,
2.
yep.
It looks real good. That game is supposed to be 2017. We'll see.
Yeah.
They showed off a Fire Emblem game.
Fire Emblem Dynasty Warriors, which didn't get translated. So like there are parts of that like then this is where the translation stuff becomes a problem. There are parts that just didn't get translated.
They didn't think ahead to put the translation of the text. Although after the Fire Emblem part, the person speaking after that did say Fire Emblem Warriors is the name of the game. So that's probably going to be interesting, considering how that Hyrule Warriors game turned out.
Hyrule Warriors, yeah. Also, they announced like a Dragon Quest Heroes, which is basically Dragon Quest Warriors 1 and 2 bundle. Okay. Yep. So they announced like a bundle for that, so that's cool.
Let's see, they had Shin Megami Tensei out there. That Project Octopath Traveler game looked awesome.
The art of it looked really good. I don't know what the game is.
I don't know anything about it, and there was a block of games where they were just like, "Hey, these are games that are in development, you guys," and that was all we got. Like nothing else about it.
Yeah, there are periods of that that fall also into they put somebody up there to just say, "Hey, I'm making a game."
Oh, you
Like
mean
Suda 51 shows up and he's like, "Travis Touchdown is coming back," and I'm like, "Yeah, show me fucking no." Oh, you just showed a picture of Travis Touchdown
well,
like
okay.
that.
At least he said that there was a game coming. They got a guy from Sega up there who was just
That's
like,
true.
I'm excited to make games for the Nintendo Switch.
I'm
Yay!
excited. I'm an actual Yakuza. I'm living Yakuza, the real.
They had Tyler Howard out there saying that Skyrim was actually coming. Everyone
I
was
didn't know that
surprised.
that was going to happen. Did you
Everyone was
know?
surprised. I mean, what you thought Nintendo was, using those Skyrim videos in every trailer for the Switch without Bethesda's knowledge?
I mean, according to Bethesda, yeah, they were. They
Right, yeah,
we don't know how people are thinking.
we haven't confirmed anything. Yeah, and then what? I guess and I guess they got up there and said that FIFA's coming up there. I mean that makes sense.
FIFA, EA showed up to say, like, "Yep,
Hey,
there are going to be some EA games that we will have.
We
stuff.
will make at least one sports game for this console before we completely abandon it. Which I think is what they did for the Wii U too. So
basically, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they didn't show a ton of games besides that. There was like I said, there was that Puyo Puyo Tetris that they showed in they didn't talk about it. It just was in their splash video for
their splash video. I feel like I learned more about the games.
Yeah, there was there's some Street Fighter 2 something or other that's in there.
They're making a remake of Street Fighter 2, but they're adding in new characters and new levels.
That sounds pretty all right to me.
That sounds cool. It's also like $40, which is maybe less cool.
If it was just an HD remake, they would only be able to charge like 15 or 20. So
I mean, if it was like I don't know, maybe Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix Edition. I don't know. That's just a name I pulled out of nowhere.
Yeah. There's some Sonic something or other called Sonic Mania that is slated in there. They didn't say anything about that.
Sonic Mania has been shown off. It's been shown off. Yeah. It's a game that is being made by people who worked in the fan game community for Sega. So that whole thing we were talking about in our Game of the Year about the fan games, I think that kind of pisses me off again. But yes, the people who are making this game have a history with making Sonic fan games, and they're using an engine that's basically designed to make it look like a really pretty version of those old Sonic games. So it looks really cool, but not really surprising. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's coming there that's not a surprise.
Yeah, but I mean, some of the more important thing is that the launch lineup, which I mean, this is a new console. We saw stuff like this with every console that comes out. This just seems especially light, and it's probably just because they don't have third party on board yet. But that first launch day is real bad. Like 5 games is awful, and then even after that, you don't get the next big Nintendo one until Splatoon in the summer, and then Mario in the fall.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
there's trickles of things here and there between there, but
I mean, there's a re-release of Mario Kart 8, which I'm super down for. Like, they showed off some of the new levels. But they showed off a new, but it's also a remake.
It's going to be a $60 version of a game that I already own and I was playing yesterday. So
I'm God damn it! I'm trying to be positive here, but they make it really tough,
So they also didn't answer a lot of questions for things that I was wanting to hear about. I mentioned in our Game of the Year podcast that we did, I was real disappointed that there wasn't really any type of talk of bringing over 3DS titles or anything like that. Like, I was really hoping for a Pokemon Sun and Moon version that goes onto here, considering it the last major game that they just released. They didn't really talk about any type of virtual console or backwards compatibility of virtual console games you already own or anything like that.
Yeah, and some of that stuff is really weird because there's been all of those rumors, which sound like they're more than rumors, that you'll be able to get like GameCube games on there. And I don't understand the technical side of it. Make no mistake, I don't understand the tech of this stuff at all. But why the fuck wouldn't you be like, hey, and also we're gonna have like a whole bunch of GameCube and Wii games, because you got to assume that they're gonna just make Wii games natively run on this thing.
I mean, like
Um,
I picked up Super Mario Galaxy 2, a game that I never played, but I always wanted to, for like $10 over the holidays. And it's like, is that going to run on my Switch, or am I going to have to keep my Wii U hooked up if I want to play that? Like, that would be pretty shitty. Um,
yeah, man.
Also, so speaking of Virtual Console game downloadable titles, have you seen how much storage the Switch has?
Yeah, I have.
Adam, it has 32 gigabytes.
32
Adam,
whole gigabytes.
Adam, I'm holding a phone in my hand that has twice that. That has twice that. Adam,
I'm getting a fucking fake finger for Resident Evil that is going to have like a quarter of the storage capacity of a fucking console.
oh,
How?
damn. And so it's going to take micro SD cards, which it says SDXC. Is that just a normal micro SD card? I don't know the
I don't know.
terminology of micro cards.
I don't know.
I should probably look that up. And obviously everything's going to be on tiny little DS size cartridges.
Yep.
So I mean, in
Which-
theory, it's not going to be super expensive to expand the storage. Like if it takes a classic micro SD card, those are cheap. I mean,
Yeah, and you can get sizable ones too.
Yeah.
You can buy larger storage capacity than the fucking console has.
for like $10.
Dollars. Yeah.
Like I just did a quick search here. I can buy a 256 gigabyte card for $40. So that's, I mean, like,
Jesus.
come on. Granted, that's off eBay, but still, like,
I mean, even like Amazon, you can buy. Fuck, man, I don't get Nintendo. Like I just don't understand their solutions, and I think like it showed today too. I don't know if you saw, but Nintendo's stock dropped pretty bad today.
yeah, it was dropping during the conference. I didn't see how it ended up when everything was.
I didn't. It closed down down 1,400 points, so not good.
I was ready to be so excited for this console. Like, I'm going to finally be able to play Pokemon, where I haven't got to finish a Pokemon game in forever because I don't want to play games on a 3DS. Like, we're going to have everything transfer over, like all the Virtual Console stuff I already own. Like, so I can have stuff right there to play. Like, I mean, we've talked around it. That Zelda game looks amazing. It looks
absolutely.
so freaking good. Oh my god! But I can play that without having to spend $300 because I already have a Wii U.
Right, and that's I think the weird point for this. It really is you're buying this thing for either you're buying it like I am, where I'm buying this thing so that down the road I don't need to worry about it. I own it. Or you're just buying it to play Zelda.
Because you don't have a Wii U, basically.
Exactly.
You already got rid of your Wii U.
Exactly. And like, and it's the thing that I'm kind of wondering, like, man, I really hope that people who are going to do that, who are going to play that thing on the Wii U, which I think that's a totally fair way to play it. Like, I hope there have been some questions about how that game runs on the Wii U.
And so now this is getting me back to my point where not only will I probably end up playing that game on Wii U, but I'm probably not going to buy it. Definitely not pre-order it, because I'm going to see how that is first before I commit to that. Like, that game might not play well on the Wii U if it's been designed for the Switch, or maybe it'll be fine. I don't know. But man,
yeah,
I was so ready and so wanted to be so excited for this
I was
console.
super hyped up for it, you know. I
And every last little bit of it is just underwhelming, a huge misstep. Like that online stuff that you're talking about is insane.
Mhm.
Like,
it's a mess, and I don't know when they get themselves out of this mess, but it's not any time before like later this year. So if you're buying this thing, I think you have to be buying it with a grain of salt of like you're not going to be using it much. It's going to gather a lot of dust
no,
at a
I mean
lot of
it will be
points.
your Zelda player if that's what you want it to be. If you don't have another way to play it, and
Yeah.
other than that, like yeah, like I want to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2, like, but I haven't even played the last one yet because that's how
Mhm.
little I play my Wii U, so I didn't even bother with that. So it's like I don't. There's just
And also,
nothing
who
in there
knows
that's
if that
exciting.
game actually makes this year?
Well,
You know.
that's I mean that's also true. And like yeah, like any excitement I might have had for Splatoon is completely destroyed by the fact that they're going to charge for multiplayer. Where it's
Mhm.
that's like the one holdoff. Like we also didn't hear anything about like any type of Super Mario Maker, like a enhanced version or a re-release or whatever that looks
Yeah,
like.
yeah. Like, how do you not fucking put it? Just put it on there. God damn.
Yeah, but then you also go back into logistically and like how does the Mario Maker even work on this console? Do you have some shitty controller version of the Maker portion when you're hooked up to a TV, and then you just pull it out because it does have
That's true.
capacitive touch on it, so you can
Yeah,
pull
that's
it out
true.
and do everything with your fingers and stuff like that. But it's like, is that why they're trying to
Yeah.
figure out what they're gonna do there? Like with that, like. I will say so. I know you were talking about Skyrim and how you don't you like Skyrim. You didn't really care for. You prefer Fallout and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like the idea of having a portable device strong enough to play like Skyrim like on the go. That's pretty awesome. Like not necessarily
Yeah.
for Skyrim itself. I think Skyrim's a fun game, and I've played a lot of Skyrim in my time. But that's just a cool idea for whether it's Skyrim or it's Mario or Zelda or I
Mhm.
mean what else is on here like NBA 2K 18 or 17 or whatever. Like
Arms.
I nope. I think you lost where I was going with there.
You can play a portable version of punchy telephone arms.
So
Big
I mean,
Gulp HD.
so like the potential is still there for
Hmm.
this console to be the thing that we want to. It works on your TV, it works in your hands. You can take it with you. You can use it in bed. You can prop it up like a little monitor and have your controllers in your hands while you're chillaxing. By the way that guy relaxed on the couch while he was showing how comfortable you could be looked like the most uncomfortable thing I've ever seen.
Guy just didn't give a fuck. Like he would like throughout all of the press conference stuff, he just didn't care. He is like, here's the flourish of the Wiimotes.
And we didn't even talk about the HD Rumble. You joked about it in our Game of the Year podcast, but what kind of bullshit is that?
It is it is a branding that is kind of incredible. How do you brand your Rumble functionality?
I mean, you can just say it has HD Rumble. It feels better than you've ever. Not like they didn't even preface that. They just started like, you have glass in you have a cube of ice in your controller, and I was like, what do I have? What I have a why do I have a cube of glass in my like what I don't. Oh,
You
now
can
there's two.
feel you can feel each and every cube as it drops in to the glass.
That's why those things are $50 each. They have like 5 little vibrating rumble pads in them for each. Sort like that's otherwise how would you? Man, there's just so many weird things about this Switch. But I mean, you're in, so you got yours pre-ordered. I haven't
Yeah.
really decided yet, and like you're saying, it might get to the point where if I haven't decided yet, maybe I just won't be able to get one.
Yeah.
Um,
And but the thing is also there's nothing there at launch. So
I mean,
if you can't get one at launch, you know, and you think that you're fine just playing Zelda on the Wii U, then
that's what see that's what's getting me is like, what if it's way better on the Switch? And I'm gonna own a Switch eventually, anyways, because my kids love our Wii U. Like they play it all the time. Like I
Mhm.
obviously don't play it as much because I play, new games. But my
Mhm.
kids love the Wii U. We play Mario Party, we play regular Mario, we play those all the time. Like I said, I was playing Mario Kart yesterday. Um, but what if that Switch is what if that Zelda version is way better on the Switch? Like,
This. I wonder why they're launching it this soon. It's a thing where it's like you guys would be totally fine if you just waited like 2 months, just push it back 2 months, and you don't get a ton more titles, but you get a few more.
yeah,
You close the gap between I
like
guess it's
like
because they gave up on the Wii U so hard that they
yeah,
kind of have to have something, and
like
they want to have it right at Q1.
it's just crazy to me that like Mario Kart or Splatoon, like none of these games are coming out at launch alongside it. Like I thought Mario Kart would have been a given because it is
Hmm.
basically a maybe a slightly better running version with some extra stuff in it of the
Hmm.
game that was been around for what 2 years. Like
Yeah,
how is that
yeah.
not? I don't even know anymore. I just don't even get it. Like
Yeah,
delay it 2 months. Have it. You got your Mario Kart. You got some other random stuff in there. Like
yeah. You at least get some amount of stuff. And actually, as we've been talking, I've been like looking. I'm like, oh yeah, no, yeah, it's totally like 5 games.
mhm.
It's man.
Yeah, and one of those is a Skylanders game, which no one cares about Skylanders anymore. No offense to anyone who actually cares about Skylanders. I just don't.
I don't think that Activision cares about Skylanders because it sounds like those games are getting scrapped entirely. So.
I mean, look, they had their place. They had their time. That time is over. I mean,
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that per se. The Toys to Life or whatever they called it is something that is past. Nintendo is making it work just because it's Nintendo, because it's Mario and Zelda amiibos is the only reason that stuff is still selling. They don't have any decent in-game implementation all that well. Um, I guess Lego is still technically out there doing it, but I feel like I don't hear anyone ever talking about that Lego Dimension stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's a huge disappointment to me. Like I was all ready to be excited. They're saying it's coming out March 3rd. It's $300, and I'm like, these are all the right things they're saying. And then everything after that point was just a giant mess. It was just it got a little bit better with like the Splatoon and Mario stuff. Then it crashed hard, and then they brought it back with Zelda at the end. So that Zelda game though, that Zelda game looks amazing.
It does.
I am
It
so ready for another Zelda game.
yeah, and man, like those bosses, like they're really giving off Shadow of the Colossus vibe, and that's
Mhm.
super cool. Like the end when like the castle is just fucking just engulfing in evil, and like they're talking about Calamity Ganon, and I'm like, oh, this is so fucking badass.
Well,
This
and
is the most dope shit.
and when they're showing like cutscenes with like Zelda and Link actually interacting and showing emotion, like we just don't get that in Zelda yet. It's like Nintendo finally woke up and made current gen games. Ah, yeah, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say anymore. I just
Yeah, I feel like we've talked more about the Switch than Nintendo talked about the Switch at this point, and
getting pretty close to it. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
I don't know. I really and it sucks because I really do love the Wii U. Like I think that the Wii U, it got the shaft because nobody bought it, but I think it's a great console, and them kind of iterating on that in this weird step, I think that's cool. And I came into that thing super hype. I was like, I'm gonna stay up. I'm gonna fucking watch this thing. It's gonna be great. I'm waiting for them to be like, yo, we've got GameCube stuff that's coming out. Because I never had a GameCube. Um, like, yeah, I'm like excited, like DS stuff.
yep. And just
Nothing.
missing all that stuff. I mean, maybe that stuff is still to come. Maybe this is not the avenue that they want to talk about it, or that's not the Japanese market because that's obviously what this press conference was for. Like,
I don't know who it was for though. That's the thing. I don't know who this press conference was for because obviously it didn't do well at serving investors.
Yep.
I think that people have I think that there are some people who are still totally into the thing, but I think that other people, like ourselves, have cooled on the Switch pretty heavily after it. So I don't know who this press conference served.
I don't.
And it does make me really worry about what this console is going to look like. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's scary. It's scary. Right. I mean, maybe this will just end up being kind of like the Wii U, which I will wait like a year or two, and then I'll just pick one up at some point once there are a decent amount of Nintendo exclusive games that I want to play. Um, but yeah, yeah, I think we've said our piece on it. Um, it's like it could still be great, but they definitely did not do enough to sway people into thinking that Nintendo's on their way back up. If anything, they're kind of staying flat. It seems like from what they
Yeah.
had with the Wii U. Um,
Yeah.
Not quite getting what the temperature of gaming is with certain things, or showing values. Like I get it. Like, hey, you're gonna jump on the online bandwagon, and you're gonna charge for it too. But it seems like way more valuable to show, hey, this is a value. Like you don't have to pay for our online. Like, and it's actually good now, instead of
It feels like they watched like what Sony and Microsoft had done, and they're like, okay, let's do that, but they don't understand why they do that.
yep,
I don't know what the reason is for Nintendo, which has had this history, and maybe it ends up being akin to the PS3's online to the PS4's. PS4's online is not great still. It's certainly better than where it was, but
yeah.
it's not great still. So maybe it ends up just being that. Um,
I mean,
their game
online
service,
services they
though,
only have up to go. So
I don't know, man. Like maybe they disconnect the 56K that they've got set up, and maybe somebody gets on and maybe somebody gets on the phone when somebody's trying to get online with a Nintendo, and the whole system just shuts down. I don't know.
yeah. All right. Well, I think that's our episode. Like I said, we just wanted to kind of get in and record something about the Nintendo Switch. As always, you can find us on the website that is pixrelated.net. I am Kyle. That was Adam. And yeah, we will see you next time.